I went through domestic violence for several years. I also am a felon, and I overcame those obstacles, being a single mother of two, as well as
What's going on, everybody? My name is Samuel Emmanuel Dickerson Jr. and welcome to Better You, Better Society. Today we have a super special, awesome, super fragilistic, espialidocious treat for you guys. Today I'm going to be interviewing my big cousin, Nette. She has been through a lot of trials and tribulations, she's really gone through things that are very difficult. And I think that if you guys listen to this interview and you see how she went through her trials, came out of her trials, persevered, and how she got to where she is now and how she continues to strive forward, I really believe that you're going to be inspired and motivated. So guys, tune in and listen to these words, and I really hope and I pray that you're able to take the words that you hear today and use them in your own life to push yourself ahead. So enjoy this interview.
7 years ago, I came from a domestic violence situation and other obstacles that I was dealing with. And I thought possibly that I would sit everything that I was doing down just to try to regroup in my personal life. However, continuously doing nails and with continued education, it has definitely brought me out of the cloud that I once was in, and it's continued to grow. And I also, as I continued on this journey of doing nails, I wanted to offer the opportunities to other people to grow as well for themselves. Not just working for the next person, but working for themselves, teaching people about entrepreneurship. So I felt like if I am creating a roadmap for others, then they'll see me and my growth and see what I've come from and the fact that I did not give up, I didn't quit. So here I am today, and I am a licensed nail technician. I travel, I also offer classes, and in the future, I will be opening up a school. I went through domestic violence for several years. I also am a felon, and I overcame those obstacles, being a single mother of two, as well as the risk that I had taken in my business. Definitely took a lot of risk and invested a lot. But I will say one thing: when you invest in yourself, and it's always for a good cause, and you know your vision, and you have that dream and you have that goal, as long as you continue to see clear to it and stay focused, that you will continue to just grow and you'll build. And that's what I did. My darkest moment was being in prison and pregnant at the same time. That was my darkest moment. It was something I had never experienced before. It's not like there's a book on how to survive it. When I first caught my charge, I was 17 years old. And when I served my sentence, I was about 20, 21. I was in prison bearing a child, and it was scary. It was scary because I'm bringing a child in this world in prison. I didn't really know what it was going to be like giving birth to my child. I didn't know if my child was going to get lost in the system or anything like that. For me, I like to be organized. I like to know what's coming next. I like to plan. So to be sitting in someone else's prison cell and waiting for them to tell me what's next, and being pregnant with a child and being a mother, not knowing what was the next step was going to be, I was at a standstill. I had no control over the situation, and it was almost like I couldn't breathe because I didn't know. I had to leave my child. When I did give birth to my child, I had to leave him in a NICU ward where I couldn't even see him throughout the day whenever I wanted to. I had to be scheduled to see my child, and then I had to leave him in the hospital alone while I was taken back to a prison, and hope that my family was contacted in a timely fashion to retrieve my son. A lot of how I got through the whole ordeal of being in prison and giving my child to my family was that I had a family background that was very strong. They picked up the calls and different things like that. My children were definitely in great care. That's probably one of the things that kept me sane, was that my children were in good care. And when I was in prison, I'm not going to say that it was all good, and I'm not going to say that it was all bad. However, inside the prison system, they do allow you different ways to educate yourself and to gain different trades. So I took that opportunity, instead of me looking at it as a negative, I took the opportunity to keep myself educated, keep myself on my toes, so that when I did come home, I had some things already taken care of. Not only having a schedule for out the week, working as well as going to school, but that I was also in a mother's group inside the prison that I was located at, which opened up an avenue for parents, the mothers, to see their children on different holidays and things like that, where the family could come out and they could visit with their children and have less restrictions on them. Also, my children's father would bring my children to visit me almost every weekend, so I didn't really go without knowing what was going on in my kids' life. But I don't feel that if I didn't have that mother's group, the school, and the work schedule that I had, and the visits, that I would have been able to continue forward. I don't think I would have. I have an uncle who's a pastor, so his prayers always meant a lot. And let's see, as far as me getting through the prison, it was really just knowing that my children were at home with a good support system for them. And they had cousins and things, people who knew what to do to get things taken care of. And I feel like my family, just being there for my kids was the most important thing. And if I called them picking up, for my prison sentence, I was in jail at first for a long period of time, and then I went to serve my prison sentence. So at the beginning, with it being so scary, I think a lot of their words and encouragement and picking up my phone calls definitely helped me. Because I was sitting behind bars and expecting them to come to my every beck and call, and they couldn't because they had their own lives. So once I kind of came to and realized that, it was less hard on me to accept that they were busy and they had their own lives. I think them just being supportive in any way that they could definitely made me feel like the weight was lifting up off my shoulders. So having a sister come visit me for one of my events was so exciting, because when, in prison, when families are trying to visit, they have to fill out forms and get approved and different things like that. And she stayed the course and got that process done and was able to come visit with me. So I appreciate that, because me and her is like really close. And my sister, I'm able to call her and complain and all that other stuff. And either she's gonna get me in my place or she's gonna give me advice. So she's like a spitting image of my mother. So I think our relationship is sister relationship, and then it's like me getting a glimpse of what my mother could have been like. Every man is for themselves when you're behind the prison walls. I know a lot of movies get it wrong, and a lot of documentaries and skits get it wrong on what prison is really like. But every man is definitely for themselves. Guards are not there to protect you. They're there to make sure that you follow their rules, but they're not there to protect you. And I had to go through the process of people thinking they knew what I was in prison for, thinking that they knew my background, and having to defend myself in a lot of situations where there were no guards around. When you are a person like myself, I've always been the same person 24/7. I cannot switch up on myself. I have to stay true to myself. So there's certain things that I go for, and there's just certain things that I don't. So being in the prison, sometimes you'll be in a room with other roommates, and I had to go through situations where roommates did not agree with how I operated, and I darn sure didn't agree with how they operated. And that they could have ended up different ways. But however, I will say this, I always had God on my side. And a lot of the situation, when I felt like it was getting real heavy and the smoke was blowing, that he came through and cleared the smoke. So here I am today through a lot of different situations that I dealt with while behind bars. And I'm able to sit there and say that it caused me to humble myself. Not only humble myself, but walk away from certain situations and handle certain situations differently than what I once did. Identify the things that are causing you to be stressed out. If it's domestic violence, leave. Leave. Don't wait 10 years. Don't wait one more week. Leave. That's the first thing I would say to someone that's dealing with domestic violence, because that's not love. There's no way you can put it. It's not love. And us as human beings, if you don't have a degree to be a counselor, then you cannot counsel anyone to a better state of mind or health. So do not think that you just being in someone's presence while they continue to belittle you and bring you down is some way of another helping them, because it's not. And if you're dealing with other situations, whether it's job, home, start trying to find something positive to feed your mind, because you have to be at a positive state of mind to make certain decisions. So try to find something that will feed you positively, make you excited, make you happy. Start doing things to take care of yourself, health-wise. Just doing anything, whether it's just a walk in the park, a massage or whatever. And if you're a mother and you feel like you just don't have room for growth, when it's downtime, when your children are asleep, if they're in school, take time away and just think of all the good stuff that's going on in your life. And the advice to anyone, man or woman, if you are just down on hard times, whether it's financial or whatever it may be, if you just feeling the weight of the world on your shoulders, if it's tears that need to be cried, if it's a long night's sleep, whatever it may be, but when you wake up that next day, start writing out all the things that you want to see yourself doing, whether it's business, job, school, education, whatever it may be. Write that down, and every day continue to look at it every day. And every day that you read it, do something, whether it's research or a phone call, do something to push yourself closer and closer to what it is that you wrote down. I feel like when people are doing things positive in their life or doing the things that they dream to do, and they're continuously feeding themselves with positivity, the negative people will start dropping. The negativity that you are dealing with yourself, because sometimes negativity don't come to us, we find it. But if you're continuously doing something positive and trying to find a different role or a different lifestyle for yourself, and you just continue to stay the course, that weight will start to lift and you'll see a brighter day. Going through a life where I didn't have, okay, so let's start, because as an entrepreneur, I wasn't always where I am now, where people are calling to sit in a chair with me, or me teaching students how to do nails. It wasn't always like that. But I can remember from just a young child that I always had this dark cloud that followed me. From my relationship with my mother, feeling like, as I grew up, feeling like a black sheep of my family, going through domestic violence for multiple years, being a single mother, and trying to be on this journey as an entrepreneur. Everything that I endured, I never quit. If I took a rest, if I went to sleep, if I rewrote my goals, I didn't quit. But every blow that I took, including going to prison, once I went to prison and I was able to overcome that and a lot of things that I went with while I was in there, oh my goodness. At that point, when I came home, it was like I was a beast. And no one would stop me from doing the things that I wanted to do for myself, because I went to prison, and not to go into details about it, but trying to protect someone else and trying to be a better person to other people is the reason why I went behind bars. So going through that gave me a little bit tougher skin, because I started to realize some of the people that I socialized myself with, I needed to get away from them. Some of the thoughts and the way my mind was, the way my mindset was processed, I had to change that mindset to be where I am today. So
How did you change your mindset?
instead of thinking that I was a ride or die, Instead of thinking loyalty over everything and this over that and number one BITCH and just different things like that, I was young, and that was kind of where my mindset was. And I did a lot of different things in this world. I'm not going to say all that stuff on camera, but I did a lot of different things, illegal things. So even with me going to prison for the things I went to prison for, I also felt like the Lord played a huge part. It took me maybe a year or two to realize the Lord played a part in me going to prison. And sometimes we may think it's the devil, but sometimes God will come in and sit you down in one way that you would not expect to keep you from where he does not want you to be. And it was year 2 where I realized that some of the other things that I was doing in the streets is the reason why, even though I should not have gone to prison, and I did, that was my reason for going, because he didn't want me to be out here socializing myself with the wrong crowd, doing the wrong things with the wrong people that would have caused me my life or my children's life.
So you feel like if you didn't go to prison, your life you would not be where you are now?
I think that if I did not go to prison for what I went for, I could have potentially went to prison for a larger charge one day, who knows? Or I would have been further ahead in my business. But either way it goes, sometimes we are stubborn in this world. And when we're stubborn and when we think that we have our head on straight and that we're doing the right thing, but we're still dibbling, dabbling backwards, we keep reaching back instead of looking forward. When you're driving a car, you should look forward. You should be looking at the things that's going on ahead of you so that you don't run into a head collision. But sometimes we start looking backwards, and every time you look backward, when you look back, you get distracted. And because I was still trying to stay on the course to graduate and get my education and go to nail school at the time that this was all going on, I was still reaching back. I was reaching back for people to bring them where I was. When I caught my charge, I was in my own salon suite. I was doing nails. I was building my clientele, but I reached back. And when I reached back for the wrong person to bring with me on my journey. And that is what shook up my path. And once it shook up my path, and like I said, about year 2 while I was incarcerated in prison, is when I realized why I was sitting down. I realized that when you get out of this situation, these are the things you cannot do anymore. These are the people that you need to not communicate with. And I understood that. I understood that before I was released, and I stayed true to myself in there and out of there. But I knew that I could not be in certain areas, and I knew that I couldn't do certain things that I was doing any longer. When I tell you, it's so important to get away from anybody that when you tell them about an idea, they say anything negative about it. If they laugh, if they chuckle, if they ask you, and we know how people talk. So let's not think, oh, they didn't mean it that way. If someone's asking you what made you think of that, or they're not excited for where you're trying to go, leave them alone immediately. I don't care if you want to open up a popsicle stand. If a person sits there and says it's too hot to open up a popsicle stand, and you know that's where you want to start to grow, leave that person alone. If it's something where they probably just don't see your vision and you feel like you just have to hold on to that person, then see them from afar. See how far they come along with your journey. Eventually, toxic and negative people that the spirits do not want to be a part of your future, they will wither away like a leaf on a tree. And I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of the saying, they're either here for a season or a reason. And over time in my life, I've met people, we had good times, either it's a business relationship or a personal relationship, but I knew when I had to stop communicating with those people. I have people that I call friends, but I have a whole lot of associates, and I socialize with them, but I don't talk to them about everything, and I don't go to them for everything, and I just don't sit at the table with everybody.
Because it's crazy, because when you do have a big business idea or something that you want to get started, one of the key things that's needed is excitement and enthusiasm. And if I talk to someone that's negative and they kill my excitement, that could really harm the action that I take with my, with my idea.
Yes.
And if I take a half-hearted action, I'm not going to get a half-hearted result. So have you ever dealt with stuff like that?
I have dealt with people disagreeing with some of my business practices or different business adventures that I want to go on. I am leaving those people alone. I only need excitement on my team. I don't need anybody who's going to remind me of what I did 2 years ago. I don't need anyone to. In my field, I do services. I don't need customers who are going to make mention to me of someone else's prices. Anybody who you meet, if you're in the entrepreneur field, and they're either downing your ideas or questioning your prices or trying to get you to come down, leave them alone. Because they're going to stunt your growth. Because you're either going to be start being not having confidence in the service you offer, the prices you set, or you're going to start feeling like, well, should I even do this because the people around me are not supporting me? I'm not saying to you guys that I don't have family members that support me. The family members that, I don't want to say I expect anybody to support me, but the family members that are holding my hand, they support, and that's all that I need. That's all that I need. But at the end of the day, in this lifestyle, you'll have family and you'll have friends that don't need what you are offering, or they're not in a good, happy, healthy space themselves, so they can't support you the way that you're expecting them to. So instead of putting your healthy apple in a bucket with the rotten one, just go ahead alone. Take the course and walk it alone, run it alone, dance it alone, until either they're where they need to be or whatever the case may be. But I just say that stay the course. Do the things that make you happy. Do the things that bring you peace. I had to leave a lot of people alone. A lot of people that I loved. A lot of people who I never thought in a million years that I wouldn't be communicating with them today. But there are some people who I had to love from a distance. There will be people you have to love from a distance. You wish them well, you pray for their upcomings and good health. However, you just cannot socialize yourself with them. If not you, then who? And by that I mean, if whatever it is that you're going through, if you don't get up and do, if you don't get up and move, if you don't get up and pay that bill, if you don't get up and go to that job, if you don't get up and make your way, who else is going to do it for you? Who else is going to do it for you? And for my youth out there, who else is going to get up and go to school and get those good grades that you need to get that scholarship? Who else is going to go and study and take those notes and get those good grades on those tests? You have to do those things on your own to get to where you're trying to go. There's a lot of people that want to graduate. There's a lot of people that want to have business license. There's a lot of people who want to have the six-figure businesses. But if you are not doing that work for what it is that you want, who else is going to do it for you? So you can't quit. You can't quit. I'm a single mother of two. I have a business. I have people who I mentor. I have people that reach out to me for advice all the time, either in their personal lives, business, or in the nail business. However, if I give up now on what it is that I am building, who else is going to sit there and help that next person get to where it is they're trying to go? I have nieces and nephews and children who I want to see strive and be better than me, be entrepreneurs. So if I don't get up every day and do all the things that I'm doing now, how can I sit there and set any type of trend for them? How can I say, well, this is how I did it, and expect for them to follow or take any advice from me if I can't show them my worth or if I can't show them what I've done? So don't give up. Don't quit. Whether it's for my entrepreneurs, if you feel like you are at your wit's end, if you feel like I should just throw it all away, do not. Sometimes it's a little tweaking to branding. Sometimes it's a tweaking to your own personal image. But do not give up. There is something, whether it's even a business change, there is something that we are all called to do. If it's giving someone else a smile to cause them to not commit suicide, if it's giving someone a positive post on social media, or putting a picture out there, or a new reel, or a new TikTok, or whatever it is that you do, that could cause somebody else to push forward. It could cause somebody else to not want to give up. So I just feel like we can't give up. I also said that at one point I felt like I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders. It's the 360. I carry weight. It's a lot of different things and a lot of people that bank on me. However, it feels good. It feels good, the weight that I carry now. It feels good to be able to teach somebody, help somebody. It feels good to be able to provide for me and my family. It feels good where I am now from where I once was. So I would if I leave you guys with anything else, surround yourself with positivity. Everybody is not going to sit in a room with a millionaire. I have been blessed to be able to sit down with millionaires. I have been blessed to sit at the same table with them and get advice from them and just be amongst them doing what I do with my business. And I'm thankful for that. However, had I given up when I went to prison, had I given up before I went to prison, I would not be able to sit here and tell you guys, stay the course. Stay the course. It only gets better when you stay the course. It only gets better. It only gets better. If you take the little snippet of things, of tips I gave you today, and utilize them, and try to find something that will put a smile on your face every morning and night before you go to bed, and just continue to feed yourself with good things. Good things. You can do and be anything that you want.
Yeah, so that's the end of the interview. Didn't I tell you it was going to be fire? Didn't I tell you it was going to be amazing? I'm pumped up. I'm excited. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give in. And I know you're not going to quit. I know you're not going to give in. Better you, better society. My challenge for you is, what can you do to make yourself better? What can you do to make your society better? You go out there and you change the world and be the best version of yourself that you can be. That is my charge for you. Be a hero. Peace out.